Hello and welcome to the Young Women's Breast Cancer Awareness Foundation Zoom meeting. And tonight our guest is Carol Caparosa, and she's from Project Knitwell, and she's going to talk to us a little bit about knitting as a stress relief. So Carol, if you would like to take it away.
Yeah, thanks, Jen. Thank you very much for inviting me. And I want to let you all know that I'm a native Pittsburgher. I was born and raised there. I moved to DC back in the early 80s, but every chance I get to go back to Pittsburgh, I do. It's still a city that I really love visiting, still have friends and family there. So we connected right away on that. In fact, she actually knew a family that I also went to high school with, a guy who was my lab partner in biology who saved me during biology. But anyway, so it's nice to meet all of you. And it's nice we have this technology to be able to be talking to people in Pittsburgh, because our Project Knitwell, what I thought I'd do tonight is just give you a really brief overview of what Project Knitwell is. It's a little bit about its history and what it does, and then how we had to transition after the pandemic, like most people, to virtual format, and what we are offering now virtually, which we would be able to offer to those of you in Pittsburgh. And I invited Bettina, who is a participant of three of our programs really, to also talk about her experience. And feel free to, I don't know, raise your hand, just signal whatever, if you have any questions at any time, or there's, anything you want to say. So Project Knitwell officially started 10 years ago, although the seed for it was really planted back in 1990. And the reason it started was because of an experience I had being the mother of a pediatric patient. 30 years ago, my daughter was born in 1990. We came home 2 days later. We think she's healthy, but on the 7th day, it appears that something's not right. So I did take her to the doctors, first-time mom, take her to the doctors. I'm an older mom, first-time mom. And within minutes, the pediatrician was literally rushing her through the waiting room, down the steps, across the street to the hospital, where later that night she had been transferred to Georgetown Hospital and diagnosed with multiple congenital heart defects. So we spent a lot of time in the hospital, and I was pretty much a wreck. And I thought something was wrong with all the clocks in Georgetown, because they never seemed to move. And I remember thinking they need to fix their clocks here, because I thought I'd be sitting in the room and I'd look up and be like 10 minutes. Anyway, someone sent her a hand knit sweater. And I had been a knitter, but I had not knit in about 5-6 years or longer. And the beautiful thing about knitting is once you learn how to knit, it is a lifelong skill. So even though you put your needles down, if you pick them back up because you've developed muscle memory, it will come back. So when I got this gift, I remember thinking, a bell went off, and the next time I went home, because once you're a knitter, you always have a little stash. So I had needles and yarn, and I brought that back, and I knit the entire time through her surgeries. And this was in the 90s, no cell phones, no internet. People weren't coming up during surgery to tell you how it was going or anything like that. You just waited these long, long hours. So I just knit. I never finished anything the entire time she was in the hospital. I made these long strands of things. I did finish things later when she came home, but I didn't realize how much it was helping me until 15 years later. I went back to volunteer at Georgetown, just kind of as a thank you for all that they did for her. And I said, I'll teach moms how to knit. I went back to the same pediatric unit. And when I watched the faces of the women who were learning to knit, and saw women that came out of their room that hadn't been out of their room in, I don't know, months. Some of these babies are there for months, and listened to them, it was so clear to me that this was helpful. So just kept doing it with the parents first. And then we later transitioned to patients. So we would go into the bedside and work right beside the patient. It's not a program that has knitters knit things and mail them into hospitals. We teach people in the hospitals how to knit. So then it expanded to other parts of the hospital. We worked with people on the oncology floor, moms who were with their babies in the NICU. And then we expanded to other hospitals and then to community centers. We met Bettina through the Smith Center, which is a center like the cancer center that you're with, that provides programs for people and caregivers living with cancer or survivors of cancer. We also work with women who are struggling with homelessness in a community organization here in DC. We're really just based in the DC area now. And then we have a program with some students with diagnosed with emotional challenges. And then we working with women who have just recently come out of prison. So we work either in hospitals. Our mission is to provide a wellness tool, which is knitting, to people who are in stressful situations. So fast forward to the pandemic. So we have been going into about 13, 14 different sites. It's mostly volunteer run. We have 30 some volunteers who mostly go into these sites and teach knitting. We provide all the materials needed to learn how to knit. Then the pandemic came, and we couldn't go into any of the sites. We have not been into any sites since March of last year. Well, one hospital we have gone back to. It's interesting. It's a hospital that we just work in the oncology units there, and there are some volunteers that have gone back there. But so we switched to a, oh wait, let me just back up 1 minute. I want to just talk briefly about, besides what I saw, there are some proven wellness benefits. So let me just bring that slide up real fast, and then I'll go into the exact programs that we offer now. Okay, I hope I can do this. Oh, that didn't come up. Okay, let me try it again. There it is. Everybody see this? So if you ask any knitter, they're going to tell you it's a wellness. There's wellness benefits. And these, what you're seeing here on the screen, sense of calmness, reducing stress, they feel more focused, they're able to concentrate, sense of accomplishment, we heard all the time. It's a social outlet. What's nice about knitting, knitters are generally very friendly. Like if I'm sitting in an airport, someone usually comes up. They're either a knitter themselves, they want to know what I'm making, or they've always wanted to do it. And so they're interested in seeing. But then it can also be something you can just do by yourself. So, and you're kind of have it in front of you. So there's a little bit of a distance if that's something that you prefer. And then the research articles, like most of the research, I'll say, is anecdotal. It's what people say about it, which is very valuable. But in my mind, what we need is more actual scientific research. There is some, this Dr. Benson from Harvard. It's an old study, but people still quote it all the time. He showed that anything that is repetitious, which knitting is, will induce a relaxation response, serotonin, et cetera, and it makes you calmer. And he included knitting in that. And evidently, he took people's blood pressure and pulse prior to knitting, and then he took it after and showed that both were reduced. Betsan Corkhill is a woman out of the UK. I consider her like the godmother of therapeutic knitting. She has all kinds of mostly anecdotal studies, but she worked in a pain clinic and how people felt less pain. She, with people who have depression, the Craft Yarn Council, which is US based, they did the same thing. We were involved in a study at MedStar, Georgetown Hospital, that worked with oncology nurses and showed that those who learned to knit reduced their compassion fatigue, which is a word they use for burnout. And then there's been a study, small study, but with girls with eating disorders, once again, showed that they were able to focus more on the knitting than worry about their body image or food. There's all kinds of articles, especially now coming out on during the pandemic on knitting and how good it is for you. And then here's a couple of resources. I can always send this to Jen if anybody wants to see those. But so that's just to say that there is some science and certainly tons of anecdotal research about it being good for you. And any knitter will tell you it is too. Okay, so back to the what we decided to do. We developed this program called, let me see, how do I get back here now? Whoops. Let me try this. We call it Knitwell in the Cloud. Okay, I'm not seeing my main screen here. Okay, wait. What are you all seeing now? I see you on the side, and then what do you see?
I see yours. It says Zoom. It's like,
Yeah.
uh,
Do
then
do you think if I click out of that,
Yeah.
then I can, yeah, let me click out of that. Oops, okay, here we go. So Knitwell in the Cloud is a virtual, oh wait, I want to go to share screen. Okay, show.
you're still sharing.
Okay, now I'm sharing again. Okay,
No, no, now
And
you're
now
not.
you're back to you.
okay, hold on. Here we go. Okay, so this is what Bettina participated in, and I'll just briefly overview, and then I'd like her to talk about it. But we offer virtual knitting. It's one-on-one. So that means you would be assigned to a student, to a teacher who will teach you through the Zoom format how to knit. There are 4 lessons. They usually go 45 minutes to 60 minutes. What you need to participate is a smartphone or a tablet and the free Zoom app. We provide the supplies, and the supplies, I have a slide, but I'm going to hold this up as well. It comes in a packet like this, and it includes, this is a starter kit. So this is yarn. You're not making anything with this yarn, and we've already started it for you because we don't want you to have to worry about how to start a project. We teach you how to knit, and then once you learn how to knit, the knit stitch, then we provide much nicer yarn, which makes a scarf that might look like this, that you could either wear, like this with a pin, or we provide a needle that you can, put it together like a cow neck. Here's one, I'll show you that's already put together. This is like show and tell, but like, something like this. So it's just a one skein project. We provide, you need bigger needles for this, so we provide the needles. And then we have a guidebook that has the different, patterns in it. Some of these people are moms that we've worked with. Here's a mom that was on bed rest having twins. This was a mom who was in a pediatric unit at Georgetown for a while. So we have, and then everything we teach you how to knit is also in here, the words and pictures and resources. And then we send you a welcome letter, which tells you how to set up your equipment, like where to put your smartphone, it actually gives you different examples. And then what would happen if you were interested in this, you would email us, and there's a specific email we have, instruction@Knitwell. You would email us, you would say you're from the Pittsburgh group, you'd like to be a part of this. We would then assign you to an instructor, mail out the kit. That instructor would then email you, and the session would be set up at a mutually convenient time for you and the instructor. So I just met with someone last night at 7 p.m. I've met with people on weekends, sometimes during the day. So it's just whatever works. And again, it's just one-on-one. You can see the instructor's hands, they can see your hands. And the goal is that at the end of the 4th session, you will have finished your scarf. And some people finish it before the 4th, and then we are happy to send another project kit where then you might, if you're interested, learn how to purl. There's just two stitches in knitting, knit and purl, and then you could make something else. So Bettina, I'm going to stop there, and why don't you just tell them about your experience and how it went, what worked, you can even say what didn't work about it. It's fine.
No, thank you for that, Carol. Yeah, so just a little bit of background about myself. So as Carol said, I'm a breast cancer survivor. I was diagnosed in 2011 with triple negative breast cancer, which is, I'm sure you all know, is a more aggressive type of breast cancer at the age of 40. So I went through the whole chemo, radiation, surgery, all that kind of thing. And at the time, I sort of resorted to creativity and art as a means of coping and healing. So I explored a lot of different forms of art. I mean, I did drawing, painting, mosaics, you name it. I tried everything. And it was really a way to really recover and heal and process the whole thing. So I I didn't have knitting at the time. I didn't know about Project Knitwell. Maybe they didn't exist back then, but I recently, as Carol mentioned, found Project Knitwell through the Smith Center, which is a program for arts and healing for cancer patients and cancer survivors. And the reason I found it this year was it was a particularly, or last year rather, it was a particularly challenging year, not just to COVID, but my mother passed away, and it was just, and the, as I mentioned, the rowing group, the breast cancer survivors rowing group I usually row with, that was canceled too, and it was just a really trying time last year. So when I saw that the Smith Center was offering Knitwell on the cloud through Project Knitwell, I thought, ooh, this is an opportunity to learn something new, and I've tried learning knitting in the past, but I just tried it on my own and it didn't go so well. So I thought, well, this is a great opportunity to actually learn it the proper way. And so I contacted the Smith Center, and I was paired up with an instructor, Eileen, who is wonderful. And like Carol showed, I was sent this lovely package of bamboo knitting needles, yarn, and the resource guide, which is really instructive. I mean, there's projects in there. And once I learned how to knit, I think maybe 3 or 4 projects in the resource guide. I did like 2 different hats. I did a scarf and a cowl. So, and yeah, it's the format is it's all virtual. So my instructor Eileen, she would like show me some stitches, and I would practice it, and she'd show me how to correct mistakes too. But also the thing is that, it's hard to learn something only virtually, So Eileen would be excellent in sending me other resources to follow up on, like a book, which I ended up getting on Amazon, and YouTube links to, well, here's how to purl and slow-mo and things like that. So in other words, it's not just, okay, in this 45 minutes or 60 minutes, this is what I'll teach you, and then you're on your own. It's like, she followed up with resources afterwards that I could then, because of course you can look up your own stuff on YouTube, but it's kind of overwhelming. If you're new, you don't know, like, which one is good, or what do I need to focus on now. So having her send me like links to follow up on was really helpful for me. So the resources that she sent in between our sessions was really great. And so now I feel kind of confident to sort of do my own stuff. I'm currently, making my own design of a cowl. But it's like Carol mentioned, it's a social thing too. So after I was sort of graduated, I guess, maybe from Project Knitwell's Knitwell in the Cloud, I participate in Smith Center's, now they call it Knitting on the Couch. I think before it was called Knitting in the Nook, when people would go in person and get around in a group and knit together. But now it's all virtual on Zoom, so they call it Knitting on the Couch. Every Wednesday we get together, we chat, we knit, we show and tell our knitting, we discuss knitting problems, and what's everyone watching. And so it's just a very social, relaxing and fun thing. And the benefits I found in knitting is it's sort of calming, it's meditative, and I'm not good at meditation on its own, because I'm too restless for that. But knitting seems to provide like automatic meditation, like, which just sort of comes as a side product of the knitting process. So I find that very, very helpful. It's very calming, meditative, and it's rewarding too. I mean, doing something with your hands and watching this, something grow, like that your own hands like made this fabric, and it just grew as you know clicked needles together, is somehow like fascinating. Even if you don't like the end result, it's just, the process that you created this thing is really, instantly rewarding and gratifying. So So yeah, so as a cancer survivor myself, and not having done this at the time I was diagnosed, I wish I had had something like this at the time, because my local cancer center is great. They offer a lot of psychosocial support services. I went to support groups. I went to, Reiki for cancer patients, meditation and yoga for cancer patients, which are all great, but they didn't really resonate with me because I'm just too restless. I want to be like doing stuff, like actively doing stuff. So for me, like having had the opportunity to learn knitting and do something like this would have been like really great for me as a going through the process of cancer diagnosis and treatment, because um, later on I had the opportunity to mentor newly diagnosed cancer patients who had the same diagnosis as me, and a lot of them bring up the question, well, when will I stop thinking about cancer? That's all I can think about all day, and when will it go away? And I know because I've been there too, but having something to resort to like knitting, it takes up enough, I think, brain capacity to sort of at least slow or momentarily like stop the ruminative negative thoughts about, oh my God, I have cancer, I'm going to have recurrences, metastases, I'm going to die. And, it sort of brings you in the present moment and makes you mindfully aware in the present, and sort of at least gives your brain a break from that constant rumination over, oh my God, I have cancer and I'm going to die. Not that those are, abnormal thought processes. As a cancer patient, of course, that's going to happen, but to be able to have a tool to resort to like, at least, for part of the day or some days a week, to be able to put a stop to those ruminative thoughts while you're doing something productive and creative. So that's how I think it could benefit cancer patients and cancer survivors. So I'm really grateful to Project Knitwell. I mean, I think I found it's a great program. They've pivoted to offer this virtually to deal with the COVID situation. So, I'm excited that other people are interested in learning to knit and, benefiting from the wellness and meditative things it has to offer. So,
Thank you so much, Bettina. Yeah, does anybody have any questions for her, Bettina? She made a couple of different points. The one about the YouTube thing, she's exactly right. YouTube has a ton of learn to knit videos. A lot of them are not very good. Okay. Sometimes the person's hand is like covering what it is they're trying to show you. They're trying to show you the knit stitch, but you can't actually see it. So we have tried to pare down and just pick like 3 or 4 good ones. And so in that welcome letter, there are also 3 or 4 links to the good ones. One of them is actually in slow motion. And then we've also ourselves done some videos teaching the exact same way we teach, because some people do teach different ways. So we always suggest to the new student that they look at those prior to having the meeting, first session. You don't have to, but it does sort of give you a little leg up. And then what Bettina talked about, the process of knitting. A lot of times people will ask you if you're a process knitter or a product knitter. And like, it really doesn't matter. It's just, there are people who just knit but never quite finish anything because, one, they don't like the finishing. Finishing is more about sewing it together. And I can admit that I have some things in my stash that have been there for about 10 years that I haven't finished yet, just because I don't really want to put them together, or I made a mistake and I don't know how to fix it. And it might be, 3 parts of the sweater and a sleeve, and I'm just missing one sleeve. But so that can happen. There's no certain way to be, but just the process of knitting, even if it doesn't end in a product, is also helpful. The product, I think, is what brings this nice sense of accomplishment. Especially, I've heard so many people say they never thought they could learn this, and then here they are, giving their baby a hat or wearing a scarf themselves. So And then what we do with after the fourth session, we invite the person to then, we started another virtual program called Knit Two Together, which is very similar to the Knitting on the Couch program. It's where people come together who already know how to knit, and it's just a virtual knitting group. It would be like this. It's on Zoom. We purposely keep it to a small number because we're trying to simulate what prior to the pandemic, people used to have knitting groups in their home. So it would be just a group of people that know each other, and they'd sit around their living room and knit and talk. Or yarn stores, small yarn stores in the community would have knit nights. So we're trying to just make it like that. And Bettina has come to those. Those would certainly be something you would be welcome to join afterwards. These are women who aren't necessarily cancer survivors. Some might be, some might not be. We have had people from all over the country who have attended these because they just know about Project Knitwell, so they're on our mailing list. Also, the one that Tina talked about, the Knitting on the Couch, that's through the Smith Center. I have talked to staff there, and they would welcome anybody who wanted to join that from this Pittsburgh group. They would welcome that too. So that's another option. Oh, and I want to mention that if you already know how to knit, like we recently had a request from a nurse, I think from NIH, who already knows how to knit. So she doesn't need knitting instruction on how to knit, but she wants to learn a certain technique, this fancier technique called Farrow. So we do have an instructor that could teach her that. So for anybody in your group that already knows how to knit, but maybe they have a problem and they can't finish something, or they want to learn a particular technique, there's all different kinds of techniques. We probably have an instructor that could help. So this program isn't just for beginners, although most people who have participated so far have been beginners. So that's kind of it for my presentation. And unless you have questions or anything.
I just wish I had known about you back in 1992 when I was on bed rest with twins.
Oh yeah, we've worked with a lot of moms on bed rest, and then a lot of moms from the NICU. And with those moms from the NICU, you often get to work with them for like 5-6 months at a time. So that we've really learned how to knit then. Yeah, I'm sure that wasn't easy.
No, and I had a 2-year-old as well. So.
Oh, that's rough. Yeah.
I'm excited about this because it's something that I've always said I would love to learn, but have never managed to pick it up and, really get with it. So.
Yeah. Well, great. I think you have the motivation. I'm sure you'll.
Well, I already sent you my email. So.
Oh, okay, great. All right. You want me to go ahead and I can forward, we have a program coordinator who's coordinating this. I can just send it to her and she can begin to assign you. Yeah. She'll send you an email back asking you a few questions. Are you left-handed, right-handed,
Okay.
stuff like that. And then I think right now, I'm not certain, but there might be a small waiting list. I would need to double check that. Because some of our instructors already are at their max, the number of students they're teaching. But once those 4 sessions are gone, then that opens up. But
I basically sent it now, so I can't forget to do it.
Say that again.
I said I basically sent it now, so I can't forget to do it.
Okay. But even if there is a small waiting list, it won't be for very long.
Okay.
Yeah. How are any others interested?
I am.
Great. Yeah,
Sounds good.
great. Have you
I
ever?
am as well.
Pardon? Have you ever knit before? Wait, you're Sarah. Sarah, have you ever knit?
Yeah. When I was a kid, like a teenager, I tried to learn, and I did probably a small unfinished scarf, and that was like 30 years ago. So
Okay, it may come back though.
I'm a definite beginner. I mean, I
Yeah,
Yeah.
but if you actually made a scarf, even if you didn't finish it, you very well might have muscle memory, which it will be very easy to pick back up.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah.
And Samantha, do you want to try?
Oh, yes, definitely.
Excellent. Okay, well, you guys can all just send directly email Carol, or if you want to email me, that's fine too. If you didn't get her email address, I can put that up there. But and then Jamie, I don't know if you can, if you're interested, if you can unmute yourself. I can't see you, but I don't know if you have any interest. Okay, well, we can check in with her later, but Carol and Bettina, this has been fantastic. Thank you so much. I think this is, and like I kind of echo Chris that it's too bad that we're just learning about this now. I'm excited to get people into your program and to get them, you know, reduce stress. You know?
Yeah, great. We're happy to be able to work with a group outside the metro area. We always have talked about that, but it never has come together. And for those of you who will be writing, you will hear from a woman. Her name's Jenna. You'll get an email from her, and then the process will start, and then you'll get a package in the mail. And then also tell, your friends. We know now that everyone, whether you're diagnosed with something or living in recovery or not, everyone is pretty much stressed out now because of the pandemic. So we feel like our mission is kind of a big mission, but the reality is we had to shut down when people needed it the most, we thought. So that was really a big impetus for us to make this happen virtually. It really took a while to figure it all out. And some of our volunteers just not comfortable with the whole technology part. So we are in the process of also recruiting more volunteers. So again, if this is something you really take to and you like it, there's a chance you could then become a volunteer with this and teach other people, because we can just keep moving this. So I'm really thankful to Jen Jen got in touch with me and then invited us here. So I appreciate that.
Well,
Thank you. It's awesome.
yeah, and it's amazing because I think, just to look at basically what you've built is really kind of cool. And you've been able to help a lot of people just through what you experienced. So I'm grateful for you. And I think this is the beginning of a pretty cool program.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks. So I talked a lot longer than I told you I would. Do you have like a business meeting? Do you have a meeting now? Some other thing?
Yeah, we'll stay on, but that's fine.
Okay.
Everything was, everybody was interested, and I think you gave us some great information, and I think it's all good.
Okay. Well, it was so nice to meet you all. I look forward to seeing your names on the list and getting you a part of Project Knitwell. And thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
For
And
joining.
thank you, Bettina.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks a lot. All right. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Okay, bye-bye. We're gonna stay on if you